Welcome to the beautiful city of Athens, the gateway to the Tennessee Valley, a city rooted in deep community relationships and built on a rich tradition of small local business and the very best of the human spirit. As Athens embraces the future, the signs of progress are in full bloom. Join us as we discover the bright spots in this charming southern city that we call home. This is Hometown Heartbeat, Athens.
One, and you're on.
What's
Hi,
going on,
guys.
everybody? Hey, we're back for our second time around. Take two, as it were. Whoa. Hey, how about figure it out one time?
It's like driving stick.
Now, grind it till you find it. You know what I'm saying? Look, we're back. And what's really frustrating about this is we had some really good conversation, and we hadn't argued yet, which was a miracle because we talked. I mean, the name Trump came up. We didn't argue. So we are back this time with audio, which is a much better way to have it. On Bluetooth, calling in right now is Connor Higgins, our producer. He's doing this remote for the first time, which explains why we didn't have audio, because usually he makes sure I don't do anything stupid. And what has happened is I had done something stupid. Apparently, I had unplugged the very thing that produces audio for the show. So, Connor, say hello to the people one more time, because last time they didn't hear you.
Hello, everybody.
There it is. Hello, everybody. So we're back again. If you were joining us the first time, I suggest you join us again, because we have some incredible content for you right now. It's also super raw, super real as we walk through this whole quarantine and SBA process and this loan process. Connor, I'm going to pull you down in our ears so you can hear us, but we can't hear you. If you need anything, you can certainly shoot me a text and I can stop doing whatever it is I'm doing that's wrong, because that's typically what he does. He saves my life. So, look, we are we didn't come on here yesterday because we're dealing with a lot. This whole virus, this whole thing has produced for us a situation where trying to keep people paid is the most important priority, as well as keeping people safe. Certainly, there's that. As you can tell, we keep our hand sanitizer firmly planted here right in the middle of the live stream, so we can do this right here and then high five and not worry about viral transmission of a disease. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, like, from a business perspective, which is what we talk about. I mean, this is Hometown Heartbeat, local small businesses. This is Bearded Branding and Marketing, which is our channel. It used to be the Bearded Realtor, which is now us. Like, we're trying to figure out how to do this. Like, you're 26 and 33.
So like, just lying about my age. It's hard to keep track.
In our lifetimes, we've never experienced anything like this. And so, especially as a business owner, as a manager of a business, and certainly one of our most valued assets that we have here, like, we're trying to negotiate this thing just day at a time. And so right now we're focusing on the CARES Act. We're focusing on, like, how does it affect small business? How does it affect us specifically in this payroll protection program that's been rolled out with $2 trillion in a quote unquote stimulus package that, by the way, we borrowed from China. That's neither here nor there, but it's just a fact that, like, how are we supposed to make, when this all came out, it was promised, like, hey, no red tape, easy. We're just going to make sure that people, let's keep our people paid. Let's keep our American citizens paid. And as we're finding out right now, and this is my first time as a man, as an American, whatever, that I've ever had to take help from or utilize a program that's made for me. And when I say me, understand, I'm not saying me in that, like, it's a selfish thing, but me in that there are men and women here at this company that rely on me to make sure their paycheck doesn't bounce, one, and two, I've got a family at home that's also relying on me not making bad decisions, because the difference is if we lose something small, then your paycheck bounces. If we lose something big, my house disappears, right? And so there's a huge risk on the table here. And this is us being super real, super raw with you guys. But for this to turn how many times has it changed? In the 4 days we've been trying to do this?
At least like 3 times.
At least if not once a day,
Yeah.
right? And so on
It changed
Friday,
again today. Yeah.
Friday, hey, you can apply. You can apply today. You can apply right now for the payroll protection program.
Right.
Great. Dude, we were sitting there waiting. Thursday night, we got it
We
all
had
ready.
all of our
I'm talking about
application
ducks in
filled
a
out.
row, which is rare for me. If you know me, you know how rare that is. Got
Yeah,
it? That's
we
only
had
because of her, by the
Yeah.
way.
I had everything ready.
In a row. And then Friday morning we get here and the bank calls us and they're like, hey guys, sorry. Everything's different than it was today.
Right.
No
New
applications.
New application.
No applications today. It'll probably be Monday.
Yeah.
So
We're
what do
gonna
we
get a
do?
new one.
What do we do? We wait till
Yeah,
Monday.
we wait.
What happens then?
I call them. I'm
And then what?
Hello, where are y'all at in this process? Can we get the new application that you were saying
No.
that you were going to get? And they were like, we still
No.
don't know. Well, they're worried. They still don't know how they'll be forgiven by the government. So they don't want to front us the money and then be stuck with, their tail out waiting for the money to be given to them.
We got all kinds of people joining us. I'm glad we did this again. Steve
So-
Woods, my father-in-law, joining. Pam Beckner, long time ago, shout out. Josh Carmen, thanks for texting me back, buddy. But no,
But yeah, it's
it's
been
crazy.
a headache. It's been a headache. And I was on the phone with another bank today for an hour learning the process. And it's now a new process.
New.
Yeah.
now
so-
it's online. It wasn't online. Now it's online.
Well,
so,
some banks are doing it one way, some banks are doing it another.
So let's talk through
So-
this. Let's talk through the like what. And again, this is just one idiot's understanding of
Mm-hmm.
the CARES Act. This is not by any means. This is personal experience. This is what I've read. This is what we've experienced. This is not by any means a certification of fact or this is how you do this. But my understanding is that banks are expected to be the arm used by the federal government to distribute this money to small business owners all over the country. Okay. And in doing that, banks are expected to receive 0.5%. That's ridiculous. 1. 2, there were programs that were rolled out at the very beginning that were going to advance 10 grand to businesses that qualified on 2.5 times payroll and expenses, yada, 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 right? So you take all your expenses, you roll them up in a big ball, you take 2.5 times that. Basically, they're saying 2 months of that, 2.5 months of that should get us through this. You're good. If you keep your payroll on staff, it's all forgiven. I think we all expected that if it only lasted a month and a half, that one of the 2.5 would expect it to be returned, because this is not about becoming financially solvent when you were insolvent. It's about simply remaining solvent as the decline in the market and in the economy is taking a hit on small businesses. And so where we've landed in this is we've got small banks, which, by the way, they stood up there on their podium and told us, like, we're going to cut the red tape out of this. Small banks within which you've had relationships with. How many times you hear relationships? If you got a relationship with a small bank, they're going to get you taken care of. We've got local banks, our bank, that might not even participate. My understanding is there's a meeting happening from a legal team saying, we don't know if we want to take part in this. And you know why? A distrust of the federal government. They're worried about getting those loans forgiven. If they loan money to businesses that are on their last leg or almost insolvent, and those businesses become insolvent, are they ever going to get that money back? No. I'll just answer that for you right now. And so again, this is super real, super raw, like straight up. Like, I mean, look, I am so thankful that we're in a position that I'm not worried about losing our company. We're not worried about that. And so we're thankful for that. It was certainly going to be beneficial for us. We try to practice keeping reserves and keeping those things. We also are at a point right now where we have 7 properties that we've paid cash for, and so cash flow is certainly limited. But I'm used to, Keith and we're used to pivoting, and so it's not a matter of us shutting the doors. And I thank God for that, because if it was, like, I can't imagine the restaurants and the Logan's 261 stores are closing, may never reopen. Logan's Roadhouse. What?
Right. I was talking to my husband.
Peanuts.
last
I
night.
just want to throw them on the floor.
And he was saying that we were looking into who are these millions of people that are applying for unemployment, and we concluded it's the service industry. I mean, it's all the waitresses, and they already were getting paid starvation wages as it was, because they get paid, what is it? $2,
it's like $2, but they also make a tremendous amount of tips. I mean, I was a server in college, and I made more. I made more money. I made more money than minimum wage would have ever paid me, because that's the way that industry is set up. And so there's actually some rhyme and reason that goes into that. It's a starvation wage in that if there were no tips, certainly, but it's operated on the understanding of tips
like
will happen
for you to be
right. It's like commission only salesmen. Yeah. Are they paid a starvation wage? No, they're paid commissions on what they sell. And so if your service is good, then you then you get more money. And so certainly was I poorly tipped? Was I non-tipped? Yes, absolutely it happened. But that's just because people are jerks. And if you're a non-tipper, I'm coming for you. But look, at the end of the day, like, this is insanity. And we're not, again, we promise not to get political and dive into all that. But the reality is this. It is the 7th of the month. We have committed to, as a state and as a country, the 30th. In the next 23 days, we are going to watch numbers. Oh, the country's going to watch numbers. I see you rolling your eyes. This is not an opinion or a statement. This is simply what you ought to do. If you are an American citizen and you are walking through this process, over the next 23 days, find something that is factual and real and watch the numbers. I've read, again, nope, not a fact, not data, empirical data. This is multiple doctors that are fighting on the front lines that are saying this, but on the 14, 15, 16, 17, in that window, there's going to be the peak, and then we're going to start to see the number of cases decline.
I hope so.
I do too. If that happens, then we're going to watch for the first of the month, and we're going to see what happens. Like, the next 23 days in our nation, and not one way or the other, I feel Molly burning a hole in the side of my face with her look right now. I'm not making a statement of opinion. I'm saying the next 23 days will define a lot of things for the nation, for the country, for the economy that has been built, good, bad, or indifferent, as you know it, that you were participating in prior to the pandemic. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to make any opinion. I'm not going to make a statement of what you should do, shouldn't do, what you believe, what you shouldn't believe. All I'm saying is in the next 23 days, your lifetime very well may be shaped economically, or at least the next 10 to 15, 20 years may be shaped economically by the decisions that get made across the board. That's from the medical profession. That's from the politicians. That's from the bankers. That's from the economists. That's from the higher education institutions that are providing modeling and all those things. Again, not an opinion. I'm not telling you what I believe. I could dive into that another day because I'm very, very strong in what I believe about what we should do on May the 1st.
Are you talking about like service industries, like restaurants not being in existence and schools only being online? Or
I'm talking about the very economy. If 46% of small businesses shut down, which we've talked about, if that happens, that represents a significantly larger portion of your economy than you understand right now. Like, it's 46% of small business. Great. What does that represent of all business? Go find that number. It'll terrify you. The world as we know it prior to coronavirus has an opportunity to come back looking similar to the world that we have when it's over, if ... fill in the blank, right? And so I'm not going to opine about what I think we should do. I have those opinions. Be happy to answer those questions. Be happy to address them anytime. We can talk about them on a podcast later, no problem. But the reality is, like, the rate of death, like, have you seen the recovery rate in Alabama? 98.64%.
Good.
That's 1.36. That's 0.36 higher than influenza. All I'm saying, and that, by the way, that is only with sick people being tested.
So are you? I hope there's not, but are you thinking that there won't be a second wave in the fall, or what? I'm
thinking that it's possible that we fight this on an annual basis, like we do seasonal influenza.
So just like every spring we, in theory, shut down for a month?
No.
Okay.
No. The herd immunity effect is real, and it happens.
No, I agree.
And
as
so that's
you can't deny that.
Here's my crazy thought of the day, and we need to get into a Zach's crazy thought of the day because that will protect me from like having to face up to it. Like, just Zach's crazy thought. You know it's crazy. You're expecting it, and you know not to give it much merit. Great, but what's going to happen is when I start some of these things, 1 out of 100 gets proven to be right. I'm going to be like, boom, nailed it. So here's Zach's crazy thought of the day. Zach's crazy thought of the day is the response to this virus is far worse than the virus itself, and it's been used possibly as a political power grab opportunity for fill in the blank. I don't know the answer to that question. Okay? I'm not a Trumpster. I'm not a freaking conspiracy theorist out here saying the left's trying to take my guns and my Jesus, right? That's not me. I'm not that idiot. Okay? And if that's you, you're an idiot. But what I am is someone who sees, like, I just look at what's going on, right, and put it all in its place. And there's a lot of things that I can't make sense of. And there's a lot of numbers that I don't understand. Like, for instance, why are people that are dying of non-coronavirus like, if the coronavirus didn't take over your respiratory system and prohibit you from breathing, let's say, for instance, you had congestive heart failure, why are you being counted as a coronavirus death?
I mean, I'm assuming because it was exacerbated by COVID-19.
But again, if you commit suicide, why are you being counted as a COVID-19 death? Was it exacerbated by the disease?
I'm not a coroner. One time I wanted to be a coroner. I'm glad I didn't choose
you
that
played
profession.
one on TV once. That was a joke. Go ahead.
I did.
No, I always say, I don't know anything, but I'm just a doctor. It was just a joke.
Right.
It was just a joke.
I wish, though.
Maybe one day. You're young.
But
answer
I don't
the
think
question.
I'm made for TV. But anyways, I'm not a coroner.
You got a face for radio.
So
you know?
I know. Both of us.
I'm kidding.
do.
Yeah. Oh no. I don't even have. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I don't know how coroners decide what they're going to put. So I can't tell you the reason that they are putting COVID-19.
Can I just opine?
Okay, sure.
Crazy. We're on Zach's crazy
Throwing
idea.
that idea out
We're
there.
Zach's crazy idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because fear creates emotion. Emotion creates. What's the word? I don't know. When you get fearful and you get emotional, you tend to just lay down and take what's given to you without questioning it. At the end of the day, again, I don't know what's happening.
So like
I fear the virus.
The coroner is conspiring.
It's not the coroner.
With
It's not the coroner. It's not. You go to conspire so fast.
No,
you go
I'm
to
saying
conspire so
all
fast.
These people are
the
all
coroner.
collectively.
No. There are directives that come
Okay.
in a pandemic.
Okay.
We've induced the National Defense Spending Act. I mean, we are in your civil liberties as you knew them 3 months ago do not exist. And whether you know that or not, it doesn't change the fact that it's real. Like, under the Defense Spending Act and the things that a president or governor or whatever, they can enact some crazy
Curfew,
measures.
all
Bingo.
sorts of stuff, yeah.
Bingo.
At the border. And I've heard there may be people at the border, at Alabama border, keeping you from going to Tennessee. Did you hear
That's
that?
not accurate. And the same story came out about Florida, and I
Okay.
talked to a Florida state trooper that said that literally all they were doing was the state troopers had absolutely no enforcement authority.
Okay.
It was the Department of Health. And at the station where you went into Florida, that weigh-in station, you had to pull off and you had to answer questions from a Department of, what did I just say? Health. Yeah. A health department, a questionnaire. And if you provided false information and they could see it, it didn't matter. What you told them was, and literally the law enforcement agency was just there to make sure that somebody didn't act stupid.
Okay.
And try to act crazy. So there's, again, we live in America. And so there are certain things that no matter how much people want to enact them, they can't because we're America. But all that being said, like, no, I'm not saying the coroners, that's like saying the NBA fixes their games and they all go to game 7. What? Maybe.
I just don't. You would disagree with me, but I just don't think collectively that large of group of people could be smart enough
take that.
to plan
But
that.
it doesn't take that. It doesn't take that. It takes one directive from one person at the top that says, and it takes a bunch of sheeple that are willing to just say, okay.
Right.
And we talked about it today, in my office, it was more along the lines of like, you don't give people that much credit. Well, I don't either, but they follow somebody who has that authority. And the reality is that authority exists up the chain. And so I know for a fact, I can speak to only one, but I can speak to the fact that there was a death that had nothing to do in any capacity. You can test them all day long, and they will have zero antibodies. And it was contributed to COVID-19. I don't know why. Was it a clerical mistake? Is that possible? Sure. But I've heard, and go read it. Again, I'm just trying to be honest with, like, go read about it, go look into it. Like, there's a bunch of crazy stuff out there. I'm not giving any of it any merit. Again, that's why it's called Zach's Crazy Idea of the Day. But if I live in a world where I just take what everybody tells me and I take it for the gospel, then I'm not really living at all. So our goal here the whole time has been to get educated, stay educated, be positive, stay positive, and we are trying to live that out.
I
And
have
so
a question for you.
hit me.
Okay,
Hit
so
me. Nah. Sorry.
You know how you see on like X Files and different, I guess.
Scully.
Yeah, I love that.
I
show.
hate the X-Files. Never watched it in my life.
What?
Watched one episode. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh.
I don't do scary.
90. It's not even scary. I
It
watched
seems
in
scary.
in
I was
the
8.
90s. Looking back at it, you would be like, "Wow, this is a joke." It's like watching Scream, like the original.
That scares me.
Okay. But I feel like your experience in the military might give a little bit more insight. So when deaths happen
Mm-hmm.
and they're covered up or whatever, like Benghazi style, and then deaths are written as something other than that what they were.
Uh-huh.
Like, how does that, I guess, in real life, how does that process work? Do you think it's just
So
one
to be
person?
clear, I have no idea. My
I feel
experience
like
in
in
the military
military-
gave me absolutely no access to fake death certificates. But no,
But do you
I
ever
mean,
hear about stuff like that just from a
no.
military
I
perspective?
mean, I read about in the same way that the only people that hear about that stuff is the same people that hear about that stuff in the mainstream news media. It's like, look, it's not. I'm not saying it's some big conspiracy theory to cover a bunch of stuff up, but I am saying think about who has control and who controls what part of what, and what would be the upside from the fear and the downside of not having it, and what would be the upside of what if, hypothetically, just suppose the amount of deaths would not have changed had we not shut down. And I know that's a ridiculous question because I think that it would have been different. I think that. But just think about who has the most to gain from shutting down the economy and wrecking the country for all intents and purposes economically, and think about where the virus allegedly originated from, and just put those pieces together. I'm not saying that there's some Chinese actors that are interfering as espionage. I mean, I'm not that guy. I don't have enough time to care that much, one, and two, I've got I got my own problems to worry about, right? But at
I don't think it serves anybody. Who does it serve? You think it serves
you're not serious.
You think it serves Democrats for all
No.
voters to die?
Oh my gosh! See, look at this.
Who does
look what
it
I
serve?
put up with every day.
Who does it serve?
She just immediately assumes that I put it on.
Okay.
It serves China. Who do we borrow the $2 trillion from?
So
Answer the question.
No,
who did we borrow? Say it.
I
Say
haven't
it.
looked
Say
into
that.
it.
Say the name.
I haven't looked into it. You're
Hold on.
saying China. I haven't.
We're gonna
looked into it.
pause.
I'm sure it's the same.
We're gonna pause for a moment while Connor goes to a commercial that we don't have, that doesn't exist. While I
sure
prove
it
to
is.
her that I'm not an idiot.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, let's just
Assume
talk under the assumption.
hypothetically.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's
great.
just talk under the assumption
Great.
that it is.
So who
Someone's
does it benefit?
commenting.
Someone's commenting.
Someone's commenting, I think.
My wife was one, and then I don't see the other one.
Okay.
I see it, but I don't see it yet. Oh, here it is. Hey, guys, just got on. What's the subject? No, the subject is Chinese conspiracy theories. No.
I don't know who it serves, but I feel like, well, okay, because they have to kill off their own people in order to start the whole process. Yes?
Okay, answer me this. Let's play hypothetical.
Yeah, let's play hypothetical.
They built a hospital in 4 days in Wuhan.
Right.
You mean to tell me, you've seen how long it takes us to build a house. You mean to tell me they had no knowledge of the fact that maybe there was something cooking in Wuhan, and that there was maybe fitting to be an outbreak, and maybe that there is no way, in the best case scenario, they threw that hospital together in 4 days with absolutely no notice or understanding. So at a minimum, they didn't tell us the truth, which we kind of expect out of communist regimes. But at a maximum, maybe it was planned. I don't believe that. I'm not sitting here. We're playing true crime, right? Podcast, joking, what? Like in true crime podcasts, these people, they throw all these things out there, and then they go and vet them over time. Like, I'm not sitting here saying this is what I believe, but for you and I, this is a better way to talk about this stuff because it's all hypotheticals and it's all whatever. But like, yeah, there's so many things. Noel Bishop says China sucks. That's probably not the sentiment that I would agree with necessarily. China provides a ton of things for this country, which again, I think is going to change. I think America's going to bring manufacturing back home because guess what? When we need masks and we don't have them, we've got to go pirate them from somewhere else.
This is something I was curious about, and while I'm talking, can you check the buzz?
Nothing's changed.
I don't know. I feel like my ears are ringing or something.
Well, that's because your ears are burning.
You don't hear a buzz?
No, I hear a buzz,
Okay.
but they don't hear a buzz, hopefully. So.
Okay. Something I'm curious about, going back to, I guess, the idea of monopoly, right? There being the companies that survive will have a monopoly over the industries.
Yep. Why do you think there was $500 million in the stimulus package for big business?
Right.
Monopoly.
So when I was applying to jobs in January and February,
Mm-hmm.
right, before I started working here, every website I went to, there was hundreds of job openings in every position that you could think of. And I'm really thankful that I got this position when I did, because if I had gotten it 2 weeks later, then I would have been competing in theory with hundreds of thousands of people who are unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
But now when I guess we start going back outside and back to work, are all these jobs that I was seeing available and all the people that got laid off, are all those jobs suddenly opening back up, or is it just going to be an expansion of the monopoly companies adding more jobs to their companies? Or I don't know. I'll be curious to see where all of these new jobs and where all these people are able to go back to work to.
No, I mean, yeah, it's like, look, there's a ton of that has great validity, and a ton of that if we dove into, it would take another 30 minutes of discussion about. And we're starting to get some interaction. My buddy Martin Ezel comments, China rules the world, and he's not wrong.
Right, everything we own is
and so I've seen, and I'm going to come back. We're going to come back tomorrow more educated on this subject, because I like to go down this path. And I think you and I are finding in real time a better way to talk about this stuff, where we can both go down the path of like, what if, hypothetical, because I'm not crazy enough to believe all this nonsense like conspiracy theorist stuff. And I know that we could probably, I mean, you're smart, I'm not stupid. And so at the end of the day, we can probably like MacGyver our way into this. But I think this is a good idea. We've been sitting here trying to figure out, like, man, we get on there and talk every afternoon. What in the world are we going to talk about? Right. Well, we just found it. We're going to MacGyver our way to some answers, and we're going to do it fact finding. We're going to do it with real answers. We're not going to read CNN or Fox News. We're going to find real articles, real news, because at the end of the day, these are all things that I have real questions about, because I want to know as an American. I want to know, like, what are my politicians truly, do they care about me? Do they care about you? Do they care about small business? Or are they just grandstanding for votes? That goes both sides, every side. Are they genuine in their, right, or is it about, we're going to find out. How hard is it to go get this money? We're going to find out.
You're right. Something that I feel like senators and congressmen, rightly so, get a lot of flack for is taking money from super PACs. But if we're taking money from China, so just how we say senators and congressmen may be
here we go. I love
by
it.
Super PACs.
Yep.
What if the U.S. government, people way high up,
she's starting to click,
are influenced by China because we get money from China?
Boom goes the dynamite, folks. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly right. No, those are all real
that's
thoughts.
Everybody then.
Yes,
it's not just one
absolutely.
Party.
That's what I've been trying to tell you from day one. It's not about one party or the other. It's about the government in general. It's about all of these things and how they work together. It's about understanding.
If you're in debt to somebody, you're gonna be.
You flinched when I did that. I wasn't going to hit you. I was just pointing at you.
I just didn't know how long your arm was.
Oh, I'm not. Go get your door. Go get your door. It's working.
Okay.
It's clicking. See, we just saw folks. We just saw a breakthrough. And I'm trying to tell everybody out there, it's not just you. I don't give a rip what anyone believes. I truly don't. Because if you want to be honest with you, in Alabama, it doesn't really matter. The state's going to be a certain color on election day, no matter what. But what does matter is being educated in what you do, because at some point it will matter. There will be a generation raised up. There will be a group of people the more we get educated as a people on what our country is and what it offers to its people, the better citizens will be of this country. Bottom line. That's not party specific.
At some point, we won't be indebted to other countries.
No, we'll always be indebted to other countries. That's foolish.
But does the color or side?
We can print more money, I guess.
Does whoever's in power actually matter? If whoever is in that position is going to be influenced?
Yeah, absolutely does. Yeah, these debts will never be repaid. You're talking about debts.
Is our behavior and actions and policies influenced by who we're indebted to?
Well,
I would say yes.
Absolutely.
So,
why do you think elected
matter?
officials' daughters and sons are on boards of companies for hundreds of thousands of dollars a year? Because those companies want an ear with someone who has a say. Of course it matters. Of course it does. Noel with another crazy theory.
What do you say?
Noel Bishop he's awesome. Our leaders and throws in the NBA are all working with the Chinese.
Oh,
I didn't know the NBA was involved. Noel served. Look, he served in multiple law enforcement agencies all over the world, has seen more than you and I will ever see, thank God. And so he has an experience. We might need to get Noel on here one day.
We should.
Noel, if you're still listening, brother, why don't you set up your little studio there at the house for the? We'll do a Skype call tomorrow maybe and get you added into the 3 o'clock live show, because I think it would be an interesting. I'd just like to see you and Molly square off. I'm being honest with you. So no, look, we've been talking longer than we should.
No, but these are really interesting.
They're good, and we're talking about them in a way that we don't want to strangle one another, which is fantastic, because that doesn't always end up that way. And so at the end of the day, like, this is what America's about. You want to know what America's about? It's about we don't agree. In case you missed that, we don't agree. Yet when we walk out of those doors right there, this will be over, and we respect the fact that each other is intelligent enough to articulate a point, have a perspective, and care enough to know what they're talking about. So this is what it's all about, folks. Let the Democratic Republic run its course and do its thing, and make your opinions known on Election Day. That's all that matters. Because if everybody that needed or wanted to vote would actually show up to vote, your voice would matter. Your vote would matter. Alabama would look different. I don't know that it would, but it would. We would give it a fair representation at a minimum. Am I wrong?
Right. I feel like the thought of, I'm gonna go off in a rabbit trail, but the at-home ballots.
Rabbit trail as we're walking out of here. I love it. Hit me.
The ballots at home. There's a lot of arguments against people being able to vote from home because they're worried about voter fraud.
Yeah, they shouldn't do that. That would be a bad idea.
You think that would be voter
terrible
fraud?
Oh my God.
I mean, how's that? I mean, because they don't have to show their social security number. I mean, you don't have to do that anyway.
No.
People voting more than once?
Are you kidding
What's
me?
the concern?
I could print money in my office in there that would probably pass at the convenience store. Anything that you can duplicate on a computer as a ballot, as a whatever, like, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. I could print counterfeit money tomorrow that I could take it home, put it in the dryer. I could find a YouTube video and I could make it look real. And tomorrow you could take it up here to the store and use it and they'd never know. And you mean to tell me a paper ballot we could mail in would be a good idea?
No,
terrible
you were
idea.
voting online, just how you would vote in person.
Well, as long as there was an e-verification. Yeah, I mean, as long as there was a two-factor verification like there is. If I want to sign into my Adobe account, I've got a two-factor verification. If I need to vote online, there needs to be at least two. At least two.
Would think.
ID, phone numbers, email addresses, something. You would think. But did you see?
If they have our tax
I'm not going to go there.
information.
Thank you, folks, for joining us today. I was about to talk about the online system for healthcare when it rolled out, because it destroyed itself. But that's neither here nor there, folks. At the end of the day, what we want you to know is we love you, and we love each other, believe it or not. And we're gonna sanitize and high five one more time on the way out the door, because that's how you keep the coronavirus from spreading. Okay, high five. See, when I do that, I share enough with her.
No, then I get my own.
Oh, that's the first time you've done that.
No, people on the stream can see I've done
Well, she can do
every
two
time.
things at one time. She can talk and sanitize. I've got to do just one thing
walk and chew
at a
gum.
time. Look, at the end of the day, guys, I really enjoy this with you. Hold on. Who's that talking?
It's you.
It is. There it goes. Look, I really enjoy this, and I thank you for everyone who's joined us today. And there's a bunch of folks still watching right now. I feel really bad to jump off, but every day at 3 o'clock we get on here and we do this. And the two people, her mom and my mom, the two people that watch on a regular basis, tend to find themselves well-educated or hating one or the other. So at the end of the day, I'd like to say hello to Molly's mother and my mother. To Molly's mom, I'm not a Trump for lifer, okay? So don't think that. I'm actually smart enough to make my own opinion. So, guys, look, we love you. We love everything about this platform, what it provides us. And at the end of the day, this is what it's supposed to look like. Differing opinions. Tomorrow. It's all good. We will, maybe, if she makes it. So I'm kidding. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Connor, kill it, man. We'll talk to you guys. Wanda Humphrey, stay safe. Love you guys. Talk to you soon, all right? Y'all have a good day.